It was going on, guys. This is Despitefitness Fitness, and I'm hanging out with Joe Szatmary. We're here at the Lions Den, and just having a good time hanging out. And while we're talking, something that kind of popped in my head is arms, right? So arms are kind of like the thing that is the earmark of, you know, somebody that's strong. And I can't help but notice you got some giant arm cannons here. So I just want to talk a little bit about some things that that you do to kind of build up your arms, and what kind of recommendations and maybe exercises that you have.
Yeah, so right off the bat, what we'll do is kind of just establish some main principles that I think about right away when it comes to arm training. And I actually had the pleasure of training with Mike Isertel, who, if you just type his name into YouTube, you're gonna get tons of videos on hypertrophy training. So he's like the founding father of hypertrophy. So to have him as a training partner has been cool, and I had to learn a lot of things from him. So a lot of these principles are just gonna be rehearsed from Mike. But basically one of the first things that come to my mind is gonna be full range of motion on all the exercises. Just because, especially if we're trying to grow the muscle, we want to elongate that muscle and get the biggest stretch possible. And it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and look fuller as well. So full range of motion is like my first one right off the bat, whether it's biceps or triceps. The other thing is just controlling the eccentric portion of the movement. Doesn't have to be a tempo, like super slow, although tempos are great, but just being aware that we want to control that movement because there is growth that can be made in the eccentric portion of the lift. So why would we want to neglect growth, right? Like we always are trying to get bigger and stronger. So just be cognizant and aware of that as you guys are going through the exercises. And then when it comes to arms, for me personally, higher volume. I love sticking on those higher rep ranges, probably to the 15 to 25 rep range for my exercises. And I just feel like that throws a lot of blood to the muscle, and it's just gonna help grow as fast as possible. So the piggyback off of that would be frequency. Typically for arms, I can hit it anywhere from 2 to 3 times per week. Because they're smaller muscle groups, we're able to train them more. So actually something that I've been doing lately is once a week we have a full arm session, biceps, triceps, sometimes a little bit of shoulders, because I think if you have a bigger shoulder, it's just kind of right there by the biceps and tricep. It's just gonna make your arm look even a little bit bigger.
Creates the illusion.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, we're all about looking better and making as much illusions as possible to look big as possible. But then the other thing I've been doing is putting in what I call a feeder workout that I got from Juji Mufu. And basically, it's one night a week. We come in for max 15 minutes, and it's basically just supersetting exercises. Very low weight, but tons of volume, and I'll do a bunch of supersets back and forth until my arms are just completely trashed and obliterated. So there's a video you can, Brad will put like right up here, that you can watch that video to kind of see what those exercises are and give it a try. But those are the main principles. We're gonna get right into it right now with me giving you guys my top 3 exercises for biceps and triceps, and that you guys can try on your own. All right, so first exercise for the biceps is gonna be an incline dumbbell curl. And the reason I like doing the incline dumbbell curl is just because it's gonna take away the ability for us to use any body English, and I'm way more for just keeping things really strict and controlled and getting that full range of motion. So we're just leaning back against this bench, which is not gonna allow us to move our back at all, and it's gonna force us to really isolate the biceps. So as you can see, controlling the eccentric, coming all the way up, full range of motion, coming down just like so. So if I was doing a couple reps here, we're just coming up and down. So one of my top exercises, just to start off, is gonna be doing this. You can do anywhere 3 to 4 sets, probably in that, let's just say 12 to 25 rep range per arm for these. And like I said, I like them a lot because it's securing your back to the bench, and it's allowing you to just isolate that bicep as much as possible. All right, guys, second exercise for the biceps is gonna be another isolation exercise, single arm cable curl. So if you have a cable machine, you're just gonna find it, and all we're gonna do that I really like to hit with these is externally rotating the shoulder and then curling, okay? So a lot of people tend to let their shoulder internally rotate, and I feel like that doesn't hit the bicep as much as if we give that external rotation, right? And then we're really squeezing, full range of motion, nice and controlled, just like so. We really want our elbow to stay in the same place the entire time, and we don't want to kind of let our elbow drop, do a couple here, or just be inconsistent. So the whole time, glue the elbow there, external rotation, just getting nice strict curls all the way in, all the way out. And for these, same thing, anywhere from 12 to 25 reps, 3 or 4 sets, and that should get you guys a solid pump in the bicep. Guys, last exercise for the biceps is gonna be an easy bar curl. So really you could do a regular barbell, but I just prefer the easy bar just because it seems to be better on my wrists and my elbows. So if you have access to one of these and it just feels better, I recommend doing them. But basically same thing. We're coming all the way up, almost touching the bar to our nose, coming all the way down, controlling the eccentric. And the biggest thing here is letting the muscle completely relax at the bottom and then squeezing all the way back up. So full range of motion. We don't want to do partials and just kind of not get that full range. So coming all the way down, squeezing all the way up, just like so. Trying not to let our shoulders kick in or our hips to use that body English, and just keeping it strict and under control. So same thing here. We're looking 3 to 4 sets, 12 to 25 reps. If you want to be on the higher end, you notice that helps with better growth, and stick to that. But this is a great exercise and you definitely get some bigger biceps with this. All right, so moving over to the tricep exercises. Before we even get into it, guys, everyone always tells me that, man, Joe, you have huge arms, but really, I have big triceps. My biceps are actually a lot smaller than most people think, but since I have big triceps, because your triceps about 2/3 of your arm, it just makes my arm look a lot bigger. So if you guys have big biceps and you maybe are lacking in the tricep department, just bringing out those triceps is gonna make your arm look even bigger. So don't neglect hitting those triceps. So getting to it, our first exercise is gonna be the world-renowned skull crusher. We don't actually wanna kill ourselves or smash our skull, but you wanna get close enough where you're questioning if it's actually gonna happen. So with this, you can either go a little bit wider or narrow, totally personal preference. So for me, I'm just gonna go a little bit more narrow here. And what I like to do is just kind of have it completely pressed out the top. We're coming all the way back down. Now you have two options. You can either touch the bench behind your head as a tactile cue and come all the way up, or you can go behind. That's totally up to you, but the biggest thing we want to do is make sure that we're keeping that same range of motion consistent throughout the entire set. But we're keeping those elbows nice and tight, okay? Driving straight up. We don't want to flare those elbows out too much, so just keeping them nice and parallel to each other, coming down, driving straight up, controlling that eccentric, just like so. So you guys can hit that anywhere, 3 to 4 sets, 12 to 25 reps. Great exercise you should be having in your programming. All right, next exercise. I do these all the time. I've been doing these since I was like 5 years old. Tricep push downs, baby. Now, when we're doing these, one of the biggest things I see people do wrong is they round their shoulders a little bit forward, okay, and they start using their upper body to push the weight down, okay? So instead, what I would challenge you guys to do is come a little bit closer. Think about keeping your shoulders back. And since this isn't a really tall machine, I'm actually just gonna drop my weight down slightly because I'm a taller individual. And I'm just focusing on really pressing down and then out with my hands. And that, I feel, just way more isolation in the triceps versus if I'm here, and you can almost see my shoulders kind of come up for a second, then I push the rest of the way down. So there's a lot more body English involved with that. So it's more of actually a full body movement versus if we're in tight, okay, shoulders are back, and we're just focusing on pushing down and out with the triceps. So that's something that I've made an adjustment with over the last couple months of my training, and I feel it way more in the tricep and less actually in my shoulder. So if you feel like you're getting shoulder pain from doing those, try to just take the shoulders out of it by keeping your shoulders back, keeping a nice proud chest, and really just driving down, focusing on pressing your palms down towards the ground and then out to the sides. So for the last exercise for the tricep, I kind of wanted to put collectively a bunch of exercises into one, and that's close grip work in general. I do a ton of close grip benching, so that's like a staple, and that transfers over a lot to strengthening my triceps and my overhead press because I'm a strongman athlete. So I think just a byproduct of all that close grip work is you're just gonna get bigger triceps in general. So for me, staying true to who I am as an athlete, close grip work all the way. So one of the other variations we really like to do is just JM pressing. So I'll show you guys that. So basically, we're laying back on the bench. We're gonna have that close grip, and we have our thumbs wrapped around the bar, okay? And all we're gonna do is let that bar fold towards our face, and then once we can no longer get any deeper or just our arms stop, that's where we're gonna press straight back out. So the thing that we don't wanna happen is that we don't want our elbows to come down and then press up, because that just basically mimics the bench press. So really think about folding down to the point where you have to stop, and then pressing straight back up, retracing the same line on the way up. That's really gonna hit those triceps. So jam presses are great. Now, like I had said, on top of that, we wanna do just close grip work. So any more narrow of a grip that you typically have is gonna be considered close grip. And then we're just coming down for our presses, okay? Straight up, it's just gonna be more tricep dominant. So throw in those JM presses or any close grip work. And like I said, the byproduct is just gonna be your triceps are gonna get bigger.
All right, so you heard it from the man himself. He's got the arm cannons to back up what he's saying. So it's definitely worth listening to what he says. So if you're someone that wants to build your arm size and strength, what Joe said and went over some really great tips. Focusing on those details. The full range of motion and controlling the eccentric, super, super important. Anything else that you want to add on before we close it down?
Just like anything, guys, if you want to get better at something, just do it more. So if the arms are a weak point for you, just try to increase that frequency of how often you are training the arms. And since, like Brad said earlier, the way to determine how manly you are goes by the size of those arms. So don't be afraid to throw in some isolation work for the biceps or triceps. I know that like sometimes it's taboo in strength sports that we don't train arms, or we want to get bigger biceps just from pulling and deadlifting all the time. But you know, there's a lot to be said by just doing some bodybuilding exercise here and there, doing some hypertrophy training to increase the size of the biceps and triceps themselves. And it's worked for me, so maybe try it for yourself.
Outstanding. Well, I just want to thank Joe for the words of wisdom and the tips that'll help us all create a little bit bigger arms. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop in the chat box below. I'll be sure to respond. I appreciate you guys continuing to support the channel with the likes, shares, and subs, everything that you do to make it what it is. I very much appreciate it. Remember, guys, no matter what it is you think you can't do, like build some gigantic arms, you got to get in, train to spite. You're either going to find an excuse, you're going to find a way. And I hope that you guys continue to find the way. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.